wanted to have you on because whoever's watching, you know what I mean, I know they can get a lot out of this. And
of course.
They can relate, you know what I mean? They can definitely relate. So, two Long Island guys, so yeah, appreciate you coming on, man, and it's been a pleasure.
Of course, my guy, appreciate you.